Hello everyone, I'm Sherwin Matthews, lead designer at Steamforged Games.
I'm Matt Hart, creative director at Steamforged Games.
And I'm Emma, I'm the brand manager at Steamforged.
Today we're going to be doing a sort of how to play / playthrough of the first mission in Dark Souls Tomb of Giants. So let's get going. Before we get anywhere, at the start this is very much a campaign focused game. Mm-hmm. So one of the big changes we have in the game is obviously we're looking at a campaign board now, which is really what directs how we play our encounters and how we go through things. So to start with, just to talk you guys through what we're looking at here. So this is our party token. So this represents us. At the moment we're right in the start. We haven't actually got anywhere yet. But these will be the encounter spaces we go on to. So worth mentioning, as we draw encounter cards, we'll put these down and these will show our progress through the campaign all the way up to Gravelord Nito. We won't be doing that today, but if we were to carry on playing and kill Gravelord Nito, we win the campaign.
Great.
Speaking of encounters, these are the encounter cards. They're tiered into 3 different decks. So we have level 1, level 2 and level 3. Unsurprisingly, level 1s are more or less fairly straightforward, although it's still Dark Souls, we'll expect to die. But as we go through, obviously we'll get to level 3 encounters, and you can tell which one you're on by these markers here along the steps. We do have a Black Knight waiting for us halfway through. If we defeat the Black Knight, then, if we defeat the Black Knight, that's our first real significant challenge, but we also have an additional bonfire we can stop at, which is pretty good. So it saves us having to go all the way back through this dungeon right from the start again. Moving on over here, just to finish out, round out the dashboard, we have a timer track here. Some of our encounters require us to do things within a certain time, or where it might be reinforcements arrive after a certain period of time or something along those lines, so that will go through. Then we have equipment cards, which will go along here, and we'll talk about that as we go through. And then event cards. These are things that are new for the game. They happen as we go through after certain events or as rewards for bits and pieces we do. So, more or less that's it. So it's the start of the first mission, or first encounter, I said. So this moves down to here. That's got a 1 soul.
And we
encounter.
Get a choice of 2 encounters, don't we?
Draw 2.
So we're going to have a 2.
One. We can read out what they're looking at.
So we have a choice from the Beast from the Depths. A monstrosity lurches towards you. Escape from the depths below. A fragile relic is trapped in its maw. Can you defeat this foe before the jaws snap down? Or we've got Grave Matters. The dead awaken as you traverse this unhallowed ground, slowly rising from their lonely graves. And with each of the encounters, there's a number of things to look at. There is a bunch of rewards that you're going to get, any special rules, and then there's the setup here.
Also objective at the top.
And the objective of what we have to do to get all of those good things. So for Grave Matters, we need to kill all the enemies, seems pretty straightforward. And for Beast from the Depths, we need to kill the skeleton beast. I, for one, feel like taking on a skeleton beast straight out of the gate might not be our wisest course of action.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just to give you context, unsurprisingly from the name Beast from the Depths, the skeleton beast is something you'd really encounter later on in the campaign, and obviously this one's lurched to the top. So Dark Souls is a game very much where we go through, we will fight different encounters, we'll get different souls, we can use those to level up, get new gear, and make ourselves stronger. Going for a skeleton beast right at the start, probably not the best plan.
Not a good plan. So we're going to get the number of players plus 2, so we're going to get 5 souls for this, and the treasure we're going to get is a firebomb, which I rather suspect is going to be kind of handy. Yeah. So let's set that one up.
Says the pyromancer. Which is a good point, actually. We should talk about who we're playing as.
Yes.
Okay, shall I go?
Yeah, you already started.
All right, well, I am the pyromancer. I come with a hand axe and pyromancy flame, most importantly. All the other stuff I'm less interested in. It's mostly the flame attack that you will see more than anything else.
That makes sense. I am the cleric, so it's my job to basically make sure you guys are still able to fight and heal people after horrific burns, presumably.
Pretty much.
So I come equipped with a mace. I have Sacred Charm, which I can use to heal people, and also a shield to defend myself with, obviously.
Okay. I am the thief, and I come with an Iron Round shield, a bandit knife, and a short bow.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, so on our map here, on Grave Matters, we have a thing. It tells us just any tile. There's no specifics on this one. So
we're going to grab a tile. So these tiles come double-sided. This is the boss side.
Yep. So you
can tell by the boss icon. So we're going to go with this side.
Okay.
And the different nodes tell us where the different bad guys spawn in.
Yeah, so notice how we determine moving around, range and so on this. And on each one of these cards, we have something here. This tells us on the single sword icon, it tells us there is a skeleton soldier and a skeleton archer, because that's the icons for them. and that's covered in the rulebook, so they both go on here. And then on the other one, there is also a skeleton soldier and a skeleton archer.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So you can have up to 3 models on a node?
Models, that's correct. So yeah, nodes are really useful things in the sense that it's not like a model has to be here and that's that. They're generally more a specific thing. So you could have, for example, that. There's room for it to go on. So, and that's the same obviously for us. We can fit onto there as well. But as Matt has just said, 3 is the maximum. If you want to move on to a node after that, then someone has to be pushed off.
Right.
So the last thing, if you can grab me the skeleton soldier and skeleton archer enemy cards, yes please. We'll need those.
And it's not super relevant for this, but it is for other encounters that have more than one tile. These are the entrances and exits of this particular location that we stumbled into.
Absolutely. Good point, Matt. So last thing is we have terrain nodes, which are these ones here. This first one is blank. The second one has a gravestone on it. So if we have a quick look.
Gravestone.
Like that. See? So yeah. So there's a tombstone here. That's something we can interact with if we wanted to. That will let us have a look at any one of these decks and have a look and see what's coming up. Okay. So basically there's some information on that. We can read the thing, get a clue for what's happening. In the meantime, the last thing we need to do is we set up our characters. So we choose an edge, doesn't matter whether it's this one, this one, this one or this one, and our characters go on there.
Okay.
I always like it when you come through a door, so I reckon we should just come through
That's
the
fine,
door.
I can over that. So well, fair enough, you kicked in the door apparently and run straight into the room over to there. I will go...
Some might say I ran into the corner, others would say I ran into the strategic optimal spot.
Sure, so we don't have to go, we could for example bunch up in one, or we could split up. I'm going to go to this one here, I think.
Okay.
So one of the things that we will see is as the aggro passes around, the enemies will target different members of our team. So we need to be careful about who's got aggro and juggle it and position ourselves. There's a lot of teamwork that enables you to succeed at this.
In that case,
if we try and run at this solo styley, then we will all die.
Maybe I'll hide behind.
Not a bad
hide
plan.
behind the healer. That doesn't really work. But, okay, so last thing, obviously that will drop in there. So now that's the level 1 encounter for this campaign. Obviously there's more campaign cards than there are these slots. So the idea is when we're obviously playing other times, constantly we always have a different campaign every single playthrough.
The thing to bear in mind with the campaign as well is let's say we're successful and complete this, we need to do more of these encounters. We will start building up a supply of souls. We use souls to improve our characters, to get more equipment and things like that. If we fail an encounter, we go back to the beginning, we lose all those souls. They go on the encounter that we got as far as, and we need to get there and try and recover them. So really, the gameplay is for the campaign is trying to work out when to rest, when to go back to the bonfire, to spend your souls. But if you go back, all of the encounters that you've done will reset unless you find a shortcut which enables you to bypass particular parts.
So there's a big push your luck element in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. So last thing for us to decide is who is going to go first. Now, realistically, we all know it's going to be you. So that's
Fair
fine.
enough.
Oh, there we are.
If
the moment, doing it live.
There you go. Carry on.
Okay, so Matt's going to be going first.
All right.
In which case,
sweet. I've got the aggro token.
So in the meantime, we're looking obviously at what our different enemies do. So in ordinary order of play, the enemies will go first, and then it will go to one of us to take a turn.
Okay.
Whichever one of us is going first, and then we'll go clockwise around the table.
Sure.
In this particular encounter, however, the special rule is enemies skip their first turn. So rather than resolving the enemy turn first, we'll go straight onto characters. So if you want to go first, Matt?
I do indeed. So here's what I'm going to do, because I've played this before.
Yeah, so let me quickly explain, because obviously Matt knows exactly where we're coming from with this. So during your turn, you can do a movement and you can do an action. Now you can do that in any order, so you could do an action and then move, for example, whichever way you want. When you move, simply put, you can always move one node. You can spend stamina, which is along here, this bar, in which case when you add spend stamina, you just put a token like that across the thing. One stamina to move one additional node, and you can do that any number of times. So if Matt was here and wanted to get all the way over to here, he could spend one normal move and then 1, 2, 3 stamina to get over to there. So that's moving. When it comes to your action, most of the time you're going to attack. Is your action. There are other bits and pieces. Really good example, if you're in here, you could spend your action to interact with that, in which case you would interact with it. In the case of the tombstone, you flip it over and then, as I said, tutor the deck. You have a look at the next cards coming up and so on. So,
sounds good. And a commonly asked question is, can you move then act, or can you act then move?
But exactly as I've just said, you can take your action and then you can move.
Fantastic.
If you'd like to.
So I am going to, because I have a range of 2 on my Pyromancy Flame, so I'm actually going to try and light up this particular area here.
Okay.
I have 2 different types of attack that I can make on my Pyromancy Flame. One costs me no stamina and one costs me 4 stamina. The reason I'm going to go for the 4 stamina one is not only does it give me 2 attack dice rather than 1, but it also means that it's an AoE. It affects everyone on that particular zone. So I'm going to roll this dice and try and light them all up. And we'll see what we get. A 3. So we're going to compare that with their stat block, which is on their card.
Yeah, so let's just talk through the attack process. So the first thing is Matt obviously looks at the range of his weapon. So in this case, it's a 2, as indicated by this impact. Let me show you on this icon here, so it's easier.
Yep.
So that indicates the range. So that tells you what it is. Obviously, there's different attack options, which Matt just decided.
Yep.
That's already explained. And this tells you the different dice you roll for those. So that's just there. You then roll the dice after choose a target. In this case, doesn't really matter because Matt's targeting the overall square because it's an AoE attack. You then roll the dice, and that's the point where you now have your result. You now compare it to the enemy's resist values, which you see on these things here.
Sure.
Now, Matt's attack over here is a magical symbol attack. That's why it's got this little gold symbol here. So there's 2. There's a block value for the enemy, which is a shield, and that determines a physical attack. And then there's one of these, which is like its magic resistance. So that doesn't really make a difference for the skeleton archer. Both values are 1, but for the skeleton soldier, its physical defense is better.
Okay.
Presumably that shield is why. Its magical defense is not as good, so that's pretty good for us.
Absolutely.
So, having done that, you subtract from the enemy, the enemy block value or resist value, in this case, both times 1, so we'll just lose that off there, nice and easy to explain. 2 wounds remain, so that's what the enemy suffer. Looking at these, you see that the enemy here has suffered 1 wound, and that's 1 wound. If they equal that, they're removed. You have killed 2 things.
Yes. For that, it cost me 4 stamina, so I'll take 4 stamina blocks and put them into my stamina bar.
There you go.
I get my move for free. Now, this is where you need to be quite careful. They're unlikely to be able to get to me because I have the aggro token. I'm almost certainly going to be the target. I know that he's got a range of 1, and he's going to move a couple of spaces, just 1 space. So I'm perfectly safe there. I'm going to stay there. I'm done. That's the end of my go.
Okay, so now we go on to the enemy turn. So the enemy turn. So each enemy has a threat value here. So this indicates how dangerous they are. The one with the highest value will go first, and then we'll go from there. So this is skeleton soldier is the highest value at 5, so that will be going first. That's this guy here. So each enemy has behavior icons here, and these are ways of explaining how it is they move around. So if we were to look at this, the enemy, first of all, do this as a move icon, as in that looks like a move. That's an attack, conversely, for future reference. So it will choose a target. This indicates it will choose the closest character. So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be Matt's character, the Pyromancer. Then we'll move 1 node towards Matt. So I'm going to go to here. Now, that's pretty much it. It does have this effect here. So if it moved into the same zone as somebody, same node as somebody who had it would push them out the way and do an attack against them. Doesn't do that because obviously it's not moved anywhere. And this means that if it did hit anyone with an attack, they would bleed.
Right, okay.
However, doesn't have that. There's no attack icon, so that's pretty much done. Skeleton soldier is done. Skeleton archer is next, and this one has an attack icon, so this will do an attack. It's a range of 4, and it will attack the person with the aggro token. That's what that symbol there means. So that's you. So 1, 2, 3. You are definitely in range for this because its attack range is infinite. Anywhere on the tile we can hit.
Right, wow, okay.
It's an archer. I'm just going to shoot you. So unlike hero attacks where you roll a dice to determine how much damage and then you subtract the enemy's block from that, when a character is attacked, you instead have a fixed amount of damage, and then the character rolls to see how much they can evade and how much damage they can so they can block. So the dodge value of the enemy's attack is 1. So bear that in mind, and it will do 4 damage.
Brilliant. So the good news is my equipment tells me what defense dice I get, and I get 1 dodge dice.
Okay, that's one of those.
And then I look and see what armor effects I get, and I get a blue dice for my round shield.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll these.
So, quick thing, unlike normal previous versions of Dark Souls, what you do is you actually compound this dice now, so you roll both at the same time. Okay. Previously, it was you choose one of the options, you either choose to dodge or block. Now, we roll both, and then we go from there. Good luck.
Don't need it.
No, you
So let me talk
Mashed
this
it.
through. So the first thing that you do with the defense roll is you work out to see whether you've dodged it altogether. So I've rolled a single dodge result, and this guy requires me to have one. So in this instance, I have dodged the attack. The arrow goes sailing past me. But let's say that I'd rolled that. I'll then fail the dodge. I would go on to the damage mitigation stage. This is when my armor kicks in. It is an attack of 4. I've managed to block 2 of it with my round shield. So 2 points of damage would go through, and in that instance, I would then put 2 wounds on myself. If you can get to a point where you can't put any wounds down, you're dead, you're out, and we will lose the scenario. So very important.
If one of us dies, we all lose.
But the good news was I had a dodge, so I managed to dodge that arrow. Good
See?
for me. Good for us.
Our resident rock star is okay, so we can keep on going.
Hooray!
So that enemy turn is done. So now back around to you, Emma.
So
Okay.
you get the aggro token.
Yep, congratulations.
Amazing.
So at the start of your turn, there's a few different steps that can go. And obviously this is also relevant at Matt's one as well, although it wasn't super relevant because we'd obviously chose where we wanted to be at this point. So first thing is we can, so you can switch out one of your weapons from your backup slot, or any one of your things from your backup slot into your hands if you want. So if you, for example, you've already got your bow out here, and I imagine you're probably going to shoot an enemy, but if you were up close and personal, you would switch in the knife, you could do that during this step.
Okay, got it.
Second one is you would recover some stamina. Obviously, again, nothing to recover here because it's the first turn. And then the last one is all of the rest of the characters can move as a node if you want to.
Yeah, makes the game more fluid, so we can move about.
So I'm going to move to here and go from there.
Okay, I might stay where I am and use my bow.
That makes very sensible.
Nicely done.
And I will use 2 dice and
okay.
take 3 stamina.
Yeah, that's correct.
Make it more
you
effective.
put these on here.
Okey-dokey. 1, 2, 3.
Cool. So you are here. So what's the range on the bow? That one there. So that's 3.
3.
So 1, 2, 3. So you can shoot the skeleton if you want, the skeleton soldier if you wanted to.
Okay.
If you want to shoot the archer, you'll have to move before
Move
you
first.
can do that.
Okay.
So up to you on that one.
Well, I think stay around for now and
Okay.
go for the skeleton.
Okay.
Sounds
Well,
good.
Sure.
So,
So you roll 2 black.
yep,
This symbol just means you can't use it if it's right next to you, which makes sense. It's a bow. So,
very true. Okay.
seems good.
3.
So that's our 3.
Yep.
So this is skeleton soldier. It has a block of 2, so we'll lose that one there. And that's it. So you hit through 1 damage. It can suffer 1 or more damage, and then it dies. So in this case, you have killed
Excellent.
skeleton soldier.
Okay, and now I can move.
You can indeed.
So I might join the pyromancer over here.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we'll just lose that there for the time being. Skeleton soldier's done. There's no more on the board. So now we're into the skeleton archers. So skeleton archer. It will attack. It's got infinite range still, and it will shoot 4 damage. The person with the aggro token, that's you now. So switch over to you. So 4 damage. So what's your defense value? So let's have a quick look at what you've got.
Yep.
Can't use the one in the backup slot. Obviously,
Okay.
that's not equipped. So we're looking at these values
These 2
here
here.
to see what it is they can do. So this is your dodge value.
Yep.
So we've got 1 here and 1 here. So that's pretty good.
2 dodge,
That's
cool.
2. And then we're looking at the armor values as well. So you've got 1 here, and that's it. So your defense roll.
And I roll
is
them all
that.
together?
You do. Very
that's
easily done. That's not so good, but it doesn't matter because
Okay.
you dodged it.
Yep.
Difficulty was 1. Fantastic.
Perfect.
So, you could, if you wanted to, spend a stamina to move a node after successfully
Okay.
dodging. Entirely up to you if you want to reposition. I think considering you've got a bow and your range is pretty good, you're probably not too fast. So,
Fine, I will stay where I am.
all good. Okay. So now we go on to the enemy turn. Sorry, what am I talking about? We've just done the enemy turn, ignore me. So now it goes on to my turn. I'll grab one of those. I mean, I'm not necessarily the most offensively minded character. I'm the healer trying to keep you guys alive, but you don't seem to need that much.
No, we're all right.
So remember, it's my turn, so I can switch out some of my weapons if I want to. I then regain stamina, I don't need to, so you guys can both move if you wanted to. So if you want to move a node?
No, because in fact, no, I'm going to stay there. I'm happy there.
Strength in numbers, I'm going to stay where I am as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, in which case, let's...
Are you going to go and see the gravestone?
I'm going to go and... I could do, couldn't I? Yeah, sure, let's do that.
I don't know.
Well, I was thinking I'm going to run over and try and hit the end.
Yeah, do that. I'll sort the gravestone out.
Okay, fair enough. So I am going to move 1, so I have to move first. So I move 1, I'm going to have to move additional stamina because my range on my weapon is only 1, thus the, 0 even, i.e. in the same node. Thus is the danger of having a melee weapon. So 1 to get to there from extra stamina and 2 to get to there. That's what's called running and causes me extra stamina to do that. Cool. So I'm now here in the same place. If I look at what I've got here, so I can have my mace, I can spend 0 stamina to 1 blue dice, which is pretty cool. It's going to be fairly
Guaranteed
effective
damage.
because there's no blank spaces on this, but there's a few 1s on it, which is obviously not so good.
Okay.
Alternatively, I can spend 3 stamina to roll 2 black dice, and the real strength for this is that I can move the aggro token to another character after this attack. So if I did that, then it would actually attack somebody else, which is kind of interesting. But seeing as you guys, that would put me on more stamina, put me up to 5. I don't mind that, because I don't get shot. Here's what I mean. No, I'll spend the 1. I'll spend the 1. So I'm just going to spend no stamina. I will swing at it with my mace. 2, subtract the skeleton archer's armour off 1. It means it's 1 limit left over. This is killed. We have killed the skeleton.
Cool. So we've triggered the objective.
We have killed all enemies. So obviously that's it's worth pointing out. Obviously the game is quite difficult. This is really very much, level 1s are very much designed to ramp you up very quickly, teach you how the new campaign system works, and get you playing as to what these are. When we start getting to these level 2s, they'll be a bit more lethal. So,
Okay.
so don't get too comfortable.
So we're going to gain 5 souls and a firebomb.
Because that's the party number of souls. So we grab this, the souls, so that's a useful 5 that we have here. I put that in the soul cache, that's for us to spend later on when we go back to the bonfire. And a firebomb. So we grab this deck here, we search our way through for it. So a quick look.
In the meantime, all of our stamina goes because we're now out of combat.
Yep.
Oh, great. So it
There we
resets.
are.
Yep. We didn't get a chance to look at the gravestone this time round, so we don't quite know what's going to come down the track.
Yep. So we
Sometimes if you take the time to look at the gravestones, the inscriptions will tell you about the world that you're in, which we represent by allowing you to kind of change what encounters are at the top of the deck.
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
So we'll just solve that out of the way.
That goes away, and that one is now done.
Yeah, so we tap that, that's done. Okay, so we have firebombs. They require 15 intelligence and 15 faith in order to use. So this is important where our stats come in. So these gold numbers on here indicate what our stats are.
Yep.
So if you, in order to have 15, you need to level up, i.e. these ones here, because you only have 10 at the moment and 8. So you definitely can't use the firebombs.
Sure.
I have enough faith, I don't have enough intelligence at this point.
Right now we need 2 level ups because I'm 14 and 14, so I'm nearly there but not quite.
Same for any of us. So this one, in which case, none of us can immediately equip it. So that will just drop down into the inventory over here.
Okay.
So
But
that's
useful
for
the Black Knight problem.
And
Exactly.
how do we level up?
So, exactly what can happen now? So, really good question. So we have now completed our first encounter. One other thing we need to do, actually, quickly before I do that, is we draw an event card. So we're completing the encounter. Firekeeper's Boon. Choose a character. That character can upgrade a stat without spending souls.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Fair enough. And this is an immediate one, so we choose somebody and they can do that. If I level up, I still won't want to be able to use the firebombs. I don't think the same is true of any
Same
of
for
us.
me.
So whoever really wants to level up, really. Do you want to level up?
Sure.
Do it.
I'll happily level up.
So we'll drop these off here, pick whichever one of these stats,
Do it,
push up
Dad.
that token, flip it over, and then you'll have a gold side on the other side.
Anyone.
Anyone you want. I mean, it makes sense. Bear in mind we're working towards the firebombs. It make sense to use the intelligence of
Intelligence
faith.
one. Sure. Right. I'll do the intelligence one then.
Why not?
And this is where you get to customise your character. You know, you could argue that the thief is a dex-based character, and therefore equipment that has a dex focus will be better suited for you. But you can start multi-classing if you like and pursuing what have you leveled up? Your intelligence. So maybe some spells could come along, or a more magic-orientated weapon.
Alrighty.
There you
Sounds
go.
good.
There we are.
And that's
So, level 2. So that's our first encounter done. So at this point, we have a couple of choices. We could go back to the fire. At that point, we can actually spend these souls if we want to. We can then buy some new equipment with our souls. We could spend our souls leveling up and doing bits and pieces there. The downside to doing that is that will use up sparks. If this spark value ever reaches 0 on this dial here, which I will eventually turn around, we've got 3 at the moment, but if we would turn it down, Eventually he says it, because I'm there, and we go back to the bonfire.
Yep.
It's game over.
Right.
So there's a very finite number of times we can actually do that. So, honestly, our best choice is we basically choose whether we want to keep on going or not.
Definitely.
Exactly as Matt said, one thing we don't want to find ourselves doing is pushing on, because if we would then fail an encounter, any souls in the souls cache will get put. So let's assume for a moment we attempted that and died, and we had some souls. We drop the souls on there.
Okay.
We can't spend them. Then we then get pushed back to the bonfire, aren't able to spend them. We then have to go back out into the world to get to that encounter again. If we then died, those souls are lost completely.
Okay.
So there's definitely there's a sweet spot we will find where we can push on, see, and when we can't get into the level 2s, that's probably our first decision spot of this is now quite hard. Do we want to try and level up and other bits and pieces? So that's a good way to teach you the game. I think that's more or less cover most things.
Yeah, definitely.
In what we have. So we can obviously carry on playing this, and we'll have a couple other videos going forward of other bits and pieces of us trying some other encounters.
But we've got to say goodbye to these guys.
We've got to say goodbye to these guys for the moment. Join us for the next video where you'll see how much further we've got.
And we'll see if Sherwin says our souls again.
That's fine. Have to throw our souls in there.